Since the early days of human civilization, brave adventurers have taken to the ocean depths in pursuit of famed treasures and legendary artifacts of untold myth. Although the rewards have been plenty, more often than not, the many mysteries of the ocean depths have revealed only terror, unexplainable objects, sunken secrets. Let's take a look at the 10 most terrifying objects found in the deep sea. Number 10. The Bimini Road. Forget about a single object, because this bizarre mystery found in the coastal waters just off the Atlantic island of Bimini paves the way toward a different kind of terrifying secret. Researchers, archaeologists, and geologists alike have been utterly perplexed by the true nature of the Bimini Road ever since its discovery in 1968, leading to a great debate as to who or what created this artificial road at the bottom of the ocean bed, and more importantly, where it could have led to. You see, what is so astounding about the Bimini Road is that there are many who believe it was originally created as a series of roads that pointed toward the fabled lost city of Atlantis. The island of Bimini in the Bahamas forms part of a chain of islands off the eastern coast of Miami, putting it in a close vicinity to where several ancient scholars believed the lost civilization to be. Large, flat rocks cut at precise right angles, seemingly set in a series of equally precise straight lines, and some of which measure upward of 13 feet in stature. The true nature of the Bimini Road is as terrifying as it is mysterious, and we may never know who created it. Number 9. The Sunken Alien. And for our 9th entry, let's turn our attention toward the terrifying object that features in the thumbnail for today's video. Seemingly what appears to be a rusted and waterlogged sculpture of the xenomorph, the titular horrifying entity that features in Ridley Scott's Alien franchise. It goes without saying, but sculptors and artists across the planet have had a particular habit of installing their bottom of the sea, only to be left behind in obscurity for terrified scuba divers to find on their travels. Although the artists believe this particular piece remains anonymous, countless scuba divers have since submerged themselves off the Russian coast to gaze at its mysterious design. The incredible thing about these underwater sculptures is that compared to terrestrial objects, they are instead subject to the living environment of the ocean. As they lie sunken at the bottom of the ocean bed, both their texture and chemical composition succumbs to the ever-changing waters of the seven seas. Whatever the outcome, the result is certainly terrifying. Number 8. A train wreck. You may be thinking, how in the world could a single locomotive train have found itself sunken at the bottom of the ocean? But in this bizarre and unnerving instance, there isn't just one, but two of them. Just off the coast of Long Branch in New Jersey, a mysterious train wreckage has had both historians and amateur enthusiasts perplexed as to its aquatic origins. Submerged 90 feet at the bottom of the New Jersey coastline, two steam locomotives lay undiscovered for over 100 years, gathering rust in the cool waters of the Atlantic Ocean. It wasn't until 1985 when they were discovered by a scuba diver by the name of Paul Hepler that their existence came to light. And since then, how they arrived there or who even built them has remained a complete and utter mystery. The thing is, these aren't just any locomotives, but instead a rare breed of machinery generally used in train yards. Perplexingly, for such a specific locomotive, there are no records of them ever being built. Still, to this day, the origin of the train wreckage remains a complete and utter mystery. In all likelihood, we may never know the terrifying truth behind the Long Branch wreckage. Number 7. Underwater Stonehenge. The ancient mystery behind Neolithic Britain's Stonehenge is astonishing enough, but it seems that North America has its own terrifying instance of intrigue to contend with, one that is instead sunken beneath the frigid waters of Lake Michigan's Grand Traverse Bay. After searching the Great Lakes for ancient shipwrecks by using the same remote echolocation techniques, archaeologists were perplexed to discover a series of ancient objects arranged in a frighteningly deliberate pattern. As it appeared, standard, although these stones were arranged in parts resembling the circular pattern reminiscent of Stonehenge and several other stone circles found across Europe, these rocks instead seem to span over a mile in length. Not only that, but scientists were also staggered to find that one of these stones, a particularly large boulder, held evidence of a prehistoric carving depicting a mastodon. Strangely enough, ever since its discovery in 2007 by Professor Morcali, little to no information has since been revealed to the public as to the extent of this aquatic stone circle. Although several archaeologists have publicly spoken of its significance, this mystery at the bottom of the Grand Traverse Bay seems to directly challenge our civilization's ancient history. It begs the question, what other mysteries have been lost to the sunken depths? Number 6. A dead giraffe. It goes without saying, but although many strange things have been discovered in the icy waters of New York City's harbor, this one is perhaps the most bizarrely terrifying of all of them. A dead giraffe, a creature that has no place in the urban jungle of the Big Apple, yet a creature that tragically met its watery grave in the cold, bone-chilling waters of one of the most famous cities on the planet. Back in 1981, the New York Times reported the many bizarre objects that had been reportedly found in the city's harbor. In one instance, they casually mentioned that the corpse of a giraffe had once been sighted beneath the water, who had fallen into the harbor and drowned after being shipped from the Bronx Zoo to Brooklyn's dock at the turn of the century. Since that casual mention, urban legends of the giraffe's corpse gained popularity, but it wasn't until several decades later that the dead giraffe was actually discovered, much to the astonishment of the city's population. After surveying the depths of the New York harbor, the Army Corps of Engineers were terrified to find the bleached bones of the giraffe half submerged in sand. Who knows what other urban legends are true? Number 5. Old Whitey. On the topic of gigantic lakes, this particular underwater entity is a whole new level of terrifying. In fact, compared to any other entity that you could face while scuba diving beneath the murky waters of Lake Superior, this one would be your worst nightmare. Old Whitey, otherwise known as Grandpa, a human corpse that has since remained trapped in a sunken ship for nearly a century. Although his true name has been lost throughout the ages, down to the frighteningly cool waters of the Great Lakes, the corpse of Old Whitey has been perfectly preserved since the tragic shipwreck of the 1920s. Believed to have been a crewman of the SS Kamloops, Old Whitey was a part of a crew who piloted a freighter ship specifically built to fit through the canal that connected Lake Erie to Lake Ontario. However, in the early winter of 1927, a violent storm shook Lake Superior and the SS Kamloops was tragically sunk, killing her entire crew. Although the ship vanished for decades, the divers that finally discovered its tragic fate were terrified to see the perfectly preserved corpse of Old Whitey float past as they surveyed its sunken corridors. Still, to this day, his corpse remains trapped within its wreckage, unable to escape his sunken tomb. Number 4. The Antikythera mechanism. Certain mysteries of the ancient world can be far more terrifying than we may expect. Take, for example, the Antikythera mechanism, a rusted object found at the bottom of the ocean back in 1901. At evidence of a historical ship wreckage just off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera. What this object is, though, is far more astonishing than a sunken shipwreck. The Antikythera mechanism appears to be an ancient computer over 2,000 years old, believed to have been constructed by ancient Greek scientists as late as 205 BC. For decades following its discovery, researchers and scholars were completely stumped as to how this incredibly complex device functioned. It wasn't until X-ray imaging was conducted on the object in the 1970s that some of its secrets were revealed. Some believe that this ancient computer was designed to track the motion of the stars and the planets of our solar system. Recently, scientists have discovered hidden inscriptions carved into its design, leading some to believe that similar objects were created alongside of it, which may still be found at the bottom of the ocean. The truth behind the Antikythera mechanism remains to be an unsettling mystery of the ancient world. Number 3. The sunken structure. Although long-lost cities and sunken tombs have featured heavily in horror fiction, the reality here is potentially far more terrifying. Several years ago, evidence of a gigantic stone monument was discovered at the bottom of the Sea of Galilee in northern Israel. Since then, archaeologists across the planet have been utterly baffled by their design, raising many questions as to who or what created them, as well as their purpose and significance within the long-forgotten society. Some believe it to have been constructed by the mythical Nephilim, an ancient race of giants. Others believe it to be a structure used for sacrificial purposes. The mysterious cone-shaped object was discovered over 9 meters beneath the waters by divers back in 2003. Strangely enough, its stature is staggering, with a diameter greater than the length of a Boeing 747. Built purely out of basalt rocks, it is twice the size of Stonehenge in England and weighs an estimated 60,000 tons. Although scientists are still struggling to establish any more evidence about this mysterious and expansive object, estimates potentially place the structure as being up to 12,000 years old. Whatever the case, this long sunken structure is evidence of an advanced and well-organized society. Its origin may very well change the way we look at the history of our species. Number 2. 87 World War II bombs. And that isn't an exaggeration. In an even more terrifying turn of events, though, it was the Seven Seas themselves that brought the discovery of these weapons of mass destruction to light. Back in March of 2011, bomb disposal experts were frantically called to the beaches of Calshot in Hampshire, England, after 87 unexploded World War II bombs washed ashore one morning. 87 mortars, each of them measuring anywhere between 4 and 20 inches, had been bizarrely coughed up by the coastal waters of the English Channel, after failing to hit their target during several bombing campaigns of World War II and being lost to the ocean for more than 70 years. Strangely enough, it's believed that the moon was responsible for storming the beaches with an arsenal of deadly explosives. You see, following a rare combination of extremely low tides and high atmospheric pressure caused by a lunar cycle known as the super blood moon, in a rare and shocking sequence of events, these explosives were disturbed from their sunken resting place. Thankfully, no one was injured in this bizarre event, but you have to admit, the moon being responsible for 87 unexploded bombs arriving on a beach is something straight out of the opening of a horror movie. Number 1. The Baltic Sea Anomaly. Because the fact of the matter remains, there is nothing more terrifying than potential evidence of an alien civilization crash landing at the bottom of the ocean bed. Whatever you may believe about the existence of alien life, there is no denying the fact that the Baltic Sea Anomaly is one of the most bizarre deep-sea finds of the past decade. And as is the nature with objects allegedly from a different planet, the debate surrounding it is controversial at best. Back in 2011, a deep-sea exploration team named Ocean X discovered what appeared to be a unique formation of an unknown material at the bottom of the Baltic Sea, just off the coast of Sweden. Seemingly, this object of unknown origin appeared to be a circular craft and depicted structural evidence of ramps and stairways. Although several of the claims have been debunked since, many of the divers responsible for its discovery stand by their claim. This dark and mysterious object of black stone potentially has terrifying implications, with explanations ranging from evidence of alien life to a portal to another dimension, or a failed Nazi experiment of World War II. Whatever the case, the mystery continues, and the Baltic Sea Anomaly remains to be one of the most terrifying objects ever found in the deep sea. Well, there we have today's video. Let us know your thoughts as to the most terrifying objects ever found